This is the de facto, statistically, the strongest landfalling Pacific hurricane on record. It went from tropical storm to hurricane in just the space of a few hours. So from 60 odd miles an hour to 165 miles an hour in a few hours. And it was only realized that the scientists had got it so wrong because they took an airplane into the eye of the hurricane and realized that the statistics they were getting from outside the hurricane did not bear any resemblance to what it was that was about to hit Acapulco. And by that stage of the equation, just a few hours out from landfall, it was too late to warn anybody.
72 hours after it first made landfall, a true picture is only just emerging of the devastation caused by Hurricane Otis. Let's speak to our reporter in Mexico, Jon Bonfiglio. Good morning, Jon.
Good morning.
So the Mexican city of Acapulco, absolutely devastated by this hurricane. Just paint a picture of what we're seeing on the ground there. I gather the picture's only really just becoming clear.
Yeah, it took a direct and unprecedented hit. This was completely unpredicted from this Category 5 storm. And what we're beginning to see on the ground is, as you say, an image of complete devastation, not just in Acapulco, but in the surrounding areas around Guerrero. The government hasn't been particularly forthcoming with statistics. Casualty figures currently stand at 27 dead and 4 missing, but that's been the case for a couple of days. And given the looting that we've been seeing in the last 24 hours, it's clear that the authorities don't really have a handle on the situation, especially outside of the center of Acapulco. As far as the statistics that are emerging that we can trust, about 4 in 5 hotels have been damaged. Tourists are currently being evacuated. Communications and access are only just coming back online, and the current damage is estimated to be in excess of $15 billion.
Goodness me, that's an incredible amount of money. Let's just talk about the looting. So do we understand then that there's little authority on the ground? I was reading a quote where one person's saying that they have little use for money because everything's being looted anyway, food, water, toilet paper, etc.
Yeah, to be fair, it certainly seems as though most of what is being looted are daily essentials, so food, milk, those kinds of things. There are reports of more broad amplified, exacerbated situations as regard the looting, but basically it's because people are and have been completely islanded, completely trapped away from any kind of infrastructure, and what the government has been able to bring in hasn't really been able to make much of a difference at all. So people are really having to fend for themselves. Actually, quite remarkably, the Mexican president has come online in the last 12 hours and actually said pretty much the same thing, that most instances of looting are because of need rather than because of criminal activity.
And winds reported up to 165 miles per hour, so a hugely dangerous storm. I know roofs have come off buildings, roads submerged, power lines cut. How are the residents of Acapulco and the surrounding areas coping? Have they had to seek shelter elsewhere?
Yeah, a lot of them have actually moved away. There's no drinking water. There certainly wasn't drinking water in Acapulco up until yesterday. So they've tried to move further afield. Look, this has been for sure, historic, unprecedented weather event, which is going to be a reference point in the future. We know that already, not just because of the ferocity of the hurricane, but also because forecasters and scientists completely missed the significance of what was about to hit. This is the de facto, statistically, the strongest landfalling Pacific hurricane on record. It went from tropical storm to hurricane in just the space of a few hours. So from 60 odd miles an hour to 165 miles an hour in a few hours. And it was only realized that the scientists had got it so wrong because they took an airplane into the eye of the hurricane and realized that the statistics they were getting from outside the hurricane did not bear any resemblance to what it was that was about to hit Acapulco. And by that stage of the equation, just a few hours out from landfall, it was too late to warn anybody.
So what caused that, Jon? There'll be questions asked because that's hugely concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is clearly one of the major breakdowns in modeling that we've seen in the recent past. Generally, hurricanes behave, they move, they grow based on ocean temperature, on humidity, and what's called wind shear, where you basically get sort of side winds that come in and knock a hurricane or reduce its strength. And so those are external factors that can be seen by satellites. But in the internal factors, what's called the inner anatomy of the hurricane, generally is measured, predicted by the externals. You can't see that from hurricanes. So it it was only, again, this flight that went in that allowed people to realize that this was not the case, that there was no correlation on this occasion. This certainly seems to be the case increasingly, that hurricanes are increasing in ferocity as we move through time. Certainly in 2019 and 2020, there was two different hurricanes which devastated the Caribbean because they were completely unpredicted. Their ferocity was completely unpredicted until just before they made landfall.
Jon, thank you so much for speaking to us, painting a picture there for us in Mexico. Jon Bonfiglio.